Hi, my name is Jessica, and this is my co-teacher today.
I'm Rachel. Hi.
We're going to be talking about evaluating websites and the information on the websites, and our lesson plan is geared towards middle school students. We would begin our lesson talking about why looking at a website critically is important, so that the information the students are getting is actual reliable information that they can then use in their schoolwork and potentially use outside of school.
But of course, we can't have that discussion because we don't have any real students right now. So we're going to move on to the next part of our lesson, which is talking about different types of false information that are out there. So the first kind we're going to talk about is propaganda. Now, propaganda is information that's intended to create a particular attitude in its audience. So it might be based in fact, it might actually have true facts in there, but it's being deliberately framed in a way that promotes a particular bias. So a really good example of this would be political campaigns that often include real facts and statistics, but are designed to make you think a particular way about a particular candidate. So that's propaganda. The next kind is misinformation. Now, misinformation is information that is false, but is false without malicious intent. So this would be when somebody says or writes something that's incorrect, but they aren't aware that the information they're providing is wrong. So a really good example of this would be like urban legends. So when you get those emails talking about, stories of, alligators in the sewers or whatever, the people writing these aren't necessarily aware that what they're saying is false. They may truly believe it, but it's not actually fact. So that's misinformation. And that's a really good reason why you should always double check the sources of an article that you're reading. The third type is disinformation. Now this is sort of the worst kind because this is when a person purposely presents false information. So a really big example of this would be Nazi Germany, where they're deliberately telling false information about people that they didn't like in order to sway public opinion against them. This is the most malicious kind, and it's why it's very important to always know who's behind the information that you're reading, because a lot of times websites with attached to particular groups will present false information to smear other groups. So those are the three kinds of false information.
Now we're going to show you a quick video that kind of walks you through some easy ways to tell if your website you're looking at is actually a credible source or if it has those types of false information that Rachel just talked about.
We're going to do that using a process called the 5 W's of evaluation.
Colin. And I'm doing a report on horses. Yikes. How can I know if I can trust this website on horses? My teacher said use the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, why. Who is the author of the website? Who put the site on the internet? Is the author an expert? Where can you find more information about the author? Try using Google. What information does the website give? Does it sound like someone's opinion? What? Is the information the same or different than other websites? Is the website a .com or .edu site? Is it trying to make you believe an idea or sell you a thing? When was the site created? Check the very bottom of the web page. When was the site updated last? Where did the author get his or her information? Where can you find more information about who sponsors the site? Where? Does the site tell you where it got its information from? Where do the links on the site take you? Are they reliable sources? Do the links work? Why? Why should I use this web page? Why is this information useful? Why is this resource better than another? When checking a website, look at who wrote it and what it says, fact or opinion. When was the website dated and where did the information come from? Why should you use this website as a source? Is it better than other sources? Thank you, 5 W's. Now I know what to look for. And thank you, Kathy Schrock, for sharing the 5 W's to help students evaluate websites. Find it at this website.
So that website, or that video, gives you a brief rundown of how to use the 5 W's. And I'm sure you've used the 5 W's before when you're talking about, assessing an article and understanding the information about it, or even when you're trying to write a story about something that happened. You have to give the 5 W's so that your audience understands what's going on. And it's the same way with website designers and authors. So you ask yourself, who is the author of the site? If it's not listed at the bottom, there should be a link to maybe an about page or other information like that. If they don't readily list an author, then maybe you should be concerned and question where it's coming from. What is the purpose of the site? Rachel talked about propaganda and misinformation, disinformation. Are they trying to promote something through propaganda? Are they not sure about what they're actually talking about? Does what they're talking about sound maybe suspicious to you? Like you're not really trusting that? When? Most websites have the copyright date or the last time it was updated at the bottom of their website. If they don't have that, again, it's something to be suspicious of. Where? The source and the information. Most people aren't just getting this information off the top of their head. They're getting the information from other sources, whether another website or an article they watched or even a TV show. And if they're listing these sources, that's good because then you can go and double check that they're actually reputable sources. And then finally, why is this information useful to you? So it might look like a really cool website and have great pictures and be really colorful and be really interactive, but if the information doesn't teach you anything new or isn't relevant to what you're looking for, then why are you going to use it in the first place? So keep those 5 W's in mind. And next we're going to be looking at a handout that we will be using that takes us a little bit more in depth of how to look at certain websites. So we're going to be using our checklist to work through the 5 W's. And the first part is really asking us how does it look, and then asking us what does it learn. So our checklist is going to look a little something like this.
I'll be passing this out while Jess explains what the activity is.
Okay, so the first question asked is what grade you're in. It's just kind of a good idea so you know what grade you're in and for your teachers to know. Next is web browser. So are you using Google Chrome, anything like that? Because some sites don't work on certain web browsers. Next is a URL. So that's the web address of the page you're using. You would find that at the top of the page. And again, in the video they talked about .com, .edu, .org. A lot of times you can tell a lot about the website just based on the what it is after it, the .edu or not. .edu means it's from a school source. Next, the name of the site. Some sites have very interesting names, and others might have some that are a little boring. You kind of have to look at that and make a guess. So the first part, what does it look like? If you're just doing a checklist, you don't really have to write down what it really looks like. You just have to answer these questions. You ask, does the page take too long to load? Sometimes pages that take a really long time to load have a lot of information behind that you don't always see, and you can kind of be cautionary about that. Are there big pictures on the page? If the entire website is one big picture and maybe like 2 sentences of information, do you think it's a site that you should be using for a resource? Probably not, even if the picture is amazing. Next is the spelling correct on the page. If the author of the page spells things wrong repeatedly, then there's probably an issue with that information. If they have maybe 1 or 2 misspellings, you can probably trust it. Is the author's name on the page and the email address on the page? That goes back to the who of the 5 W's. Are they telling you who is providing the information? Is there a picture on the page that you can choose to use links? So are there other links that go places and provide more information, or is it just that one page you're seeing? Is the information in columns or a table? Sometimes people use tables and to organize their information, and it just gives it a better view and is easier for users to actually understand. Sometimes tables are good, sometimes they're bad. If you go to another page, you can get back to the first page. Just, is the website easy to use? Next, is there a date that tells you when the page was made? This is your when question. When was information put up there? Was it put up there in 1980? Probably not good information anymore. If it was put up there in 2014, sure, that's pretty current.
Now remember, this always depends on the use that you're using the information for. There might be a situation where you're looking for, say, the way a particular event was viewed when it happened, in which case you might want an article from 1980. But for the most part, you're going to want the most recent articles on the topic. So just always keep in mind what the purpose of the information you're looking for is when evaluating what the date means.
Very good point. Next, are there photographs? Do they look real? Are they real pictures, or are they obviously pictures that people kind of put together, like Bigfoot talking to the Loch Ness Monster? I don't know if I would trust those things.
Could be true, but probably not.
Probably not.
They live in completely different countries.
If there are sounds, do they sound real? Some websites have sounds and like of Bigfoot talking to the Loch Ness Monster. Whether or not those sounds sound actually real or if they are obviously constructed. The next part is, what did you learn? So yes, you looked at this website, it had great pictures, and you found the author's name, and you found the year, and you're like, okay, I got my 5 W's. Woo, what did you learn? Why are you using this information is one of the key questions to ask yourself. Why do you care? So, again, walk yourself through it. Does the title of the page tell you what it's about? So, if again, I'm going back to my Loch Ness Monster, if the title of the page is Yeti's friend, and a Yeti is not in there, it probably is not useful information.
This lesson really requires a lot of knowledge of mythical creatures, doesn't it?
It does. We like mythical creatures here. Is there an introduction on the page telling what's included? So a brief overview of everything you're going to find. That's really helpful, so you don't have to search through the entire web page or website itself to find everything.
It always sucks to read through an entire web page and then find out that there's not actually anything you need on it.
Which is why an introduction saves you a lot of time. Next are the facts on the page what you're looking for. Rachel talked about make sure you know your purpose. You know what you're looking for and why you're looking for it. So that goes along with, are the facts what you really want? And could you got more information from an encyclopedia or online database? We've talked about encyclopedias and online databases and why you should use them sometimes and why other times you can use different websites. Would you get the same information from this website you would have had using one of the databases we've shown you? And again, would the information been more useful than the encyclopedia or the database? Does the author of the page say some things you disagree with? So if they're talking about something and you're like, well, that doesn't sound right at all, you can kind of then ask yourself, do I need to research this author and the information they're giving me to prove that they're right or wrong? Because if you really think they're wrong, then I wouldn't trust them. And that kind of goes on the same thing. Does it lead you to other good information? Does it lead you to other reputable sites? Did you check the sources of where that information is coming from? And maybe you can then use those sources if you don't want to use the page itself. And go on, does it include information that you know is wrong? Goes back to not trusting the author. Again, misinformation is false information. People might not be doing it on purpose, but it doesn't mean that their information is always going to be true.
Always check.
Good plan to have. And then finally, do the pictures and photographs on the page help you learn? If it's a picture of Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster, are you learning anything?
I don't know.
The fact that they are friends?
It could be a major breakthrough in the study of Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster.
So there's the worksheet. We're not going to have you fill out the summary part, just focusing on this part right now. Now Rachel's going to show you a website that we found, and we would like to work through the website checklist with you and see if you can identify some of the areas that might be concerning about this website or make us believe that we should trust this website.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So, here's our website. Help save the endangered Pacific Northwest tree octopus from extinction. So, using the checklist that I handed out, we're going to go through as a class and evaluate this website.
Now we will be going through the checklist with our class, and
If we had one,
and talking about why this website may look like it has good information that they could use for a research paper about maybe endangered animals. And then maybe talk about why we wouldn't want to use this because there is no such thing as the Northwest.
Really?
Really, shockingly enough, it's not a real thing.
I had no idea.
Following that, we would then have the students go through the checklist on their own with actual websites. Cool. Thank you for joining us in our lesson plan.